What's going on, gang? Welcome back to the channel. My name's CJ, this is Out of Bounds. In today's video, we're going to be doing another NBA PrizePicks board breakdown for January 11th. It's currently about noon here on the East Coast, so just keep in mind that the projections you see up on the screen in today's video may change throughout the night. I just want to give a big shout out to everybody in the Discord channel who posted winning screenshots. I saw a lot of green last night, so congratulations to all of you guys who put together those sweet NBA lineups. Some of you guys mixed NBA with NFL. No matter the case, you guys absolutely crushed it, and I love to see it. That's what this community is all about, making you more money and bringing people together. So big shout outs to you guys. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Here on this channel, we do prize picks, breakdown videos, we do other sports content coming soon in the near future. So if that's your sort of thing, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, hit the like. We're going for 10 likes. 10 likes is the goal for today's video. You guys absolutely crushed it in yesterday's video, so I appreciate that. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's go over 10 likes. If we're talking prize pick scoring, let's go over 10 likes. I think we could do over. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. We got a little bit of news to cover real quick. I'll just go over some of the big names that are going to be out. Russell Westbrook out with a quad injury. Bradley Beal's going to be probable tonight, so that's good news for Beal. Joel Embiid, somebody that a lot of you guys in the Discord have been asking about today, he's probable to play. Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons both out, so a lot of work should be going to Joel Embiid. So everyone who's talking like over and this is a smash spot for Embiid, well, you might be onto something. You might be right on Embiid. Thomas Bryant, unfortunate news for him. He's out for the rest of the season with a torn ACL. Steven Adams, questionable with a migraine. Kristaps Porzingis, a name that we have not heard yet this season, might make his debut tonight. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. Evan Fournier's out with a back issue. So, a lot of big names here, and you can see the rest of them for yourself. But those are things that we're going to have to consider as we go through the different picks and names on the board today. So leading things off here for us, Julius Randle, that was one of the names that you guys have asked about in the Discord this morning. So I wanted to go over him real quick. New York Knicks power forward, they're facing off against the Charlotte Hornets for the first time this season. That game tips off at 7:10 p.m. Let's go over to the various sites here, starting with Roto Grinders per the usual, and see how Julius Randle stacks up. They've got him at 44. Fantasy Pros, the second site that we like to use, is projecting Randle for 45. RotoWire has Julius Randle at 46. So he's in that 44 to 46 window tonight, which makes PrizePicks difficult, right, to pick the over-under on this guy. But if we open up his game logs, 45.5, 43.9, 54, 57. So this guy has, 50-plus point upside on any given night. He's getting a ton of minutes most nights, 38, 30, bit of a down night there, 39, 43. But you can see that any given night, 36, 38 plus minutes are in the works for Randle. His matchup tonight, he's a versatile big man, and Charlotte, they don't do very well at guarding versatile bigs. And finally, the game totals here, Memphis 104, wrong game. New York 103, Charlotte 108. So there's a 5-point spread there. I don't expect this game to blow out according to that spread. So I expect Randle to get close to about 40 minutes tonight. So there you have it for Randle. Choose wisely, my friends. Lamelo Ball, somebody who's lighting the league on fire. If you thought Lamelo was all hype, if you thought that he was just an internet sensation that had good marketing behind him, forget about it. He's the real deal. I think he's the real deal. 34.5 is his projection tonight. We saw him drop a triple-double the other night, the youngest player in NBA history to have a triple-double. So big kudos to him. LaMelo's projected for 35 over on Roto Grinders. And on Fantasy Pros, they've got LaMelo at 34, so a slight under on LaMelo. And then point guard over on RotoWire, they've got LaMelo at 34.5. So we could call that 35. So we know LaMelo, he's got huge upside. If you saw the triple double and the total, 54.9 points, guys. In his last few games, 37.5, 29.1 here, 37.9, 41.3. So as you can see in his last 5 games, He's went over tonight's projection 4 times out of 5. I really, really like that for Lamelo Ball. Do we like the matchup for Ball? Let's see here. He's considered to be a distributor. I don't know that that's a fair assessment for Ball. I think he's just kind of more of a, maybe more of like a combo guard, really. He does a little bit of everything, however. So against the Knicks, they rank 10th against combo guards, or distributor guards in this case. And then this game, again, is supposed to stay close, so LaMelo should get plenty of run here. I do like the over on LaMelo Ball. I think 34.5 is just a little underweight on him. But let's skip ahead to the next game. We've got the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're meeting again for the second time this season. That game tips off at 7:10 p.m. I heard a lot of talk about Jonas Valanciunas, so we're going to take a look and see if his projection is on point tonight or if we like the under or over. He's projected for 33.84. Let's call that 34 to make it nice and clean. And then over on Fantasy Pros, he's projected for 32. So that's a 34 and a 32 for Joe Val. And then finally, he's projected for 33 over on RotoWire. Looking at the game logs, Joe Val's last game, 20.8, but he was pulled early for COVID protocol reasons. Previous game was against Cleveland, 40.5 points. So you guys can see he smashed Cleveland in that matchup. Prior to that, 31, 28, 28, 29. So he would have fallen short in those few games for tonight's projection. So if you look at his last, we'll cancel out the last one here. If you look at the previous 6 games, he's went under tonight's projection in 4 out of the last 5. If we throw out the game where he got pulled early against Brooklyn. So under has been the way to go on Joe Val. The game is expected to stay relatively close here. He should get plenty of minutes. Post big, they do really well against Cleveland. They rank 29th against big men like Joe Val. So good matchup. I just don't know if I trust the over here. I'm probably taking the under on him, but you guys let me know. If you think otherwise, I'd love to hear why. Andre Drummond, other side of the ball. As we've talked about in this video a few times now, Drummond be Drummond. They started to bring his projections down to the lower 40 range, under 45. Now you can see tonight it's back up over 45. So this is going to be a game of cat and mouse with Andre all season long. I've got a feeling until he starts to level out, until he starts to show some consistency. Andre projected for a huge over, 50.5 points over on Roto Grinders. They like him at 44.5. So stark contrast there between Roto Grinders and Fantasy Pros. And finally, The Wire, they've got him at, we'll call that 51 points. 51 points, which would be a big over for Andre Drummond as well. Opening up his game logs, huge game last game against the Bucks, 59.3. His previous game against Memphis, he struggled a little bit, 44.5, but I'm not too worried about that. That's pretty close to tonight's projection. I think, one more rebound, one more shot drops for him. He's hitting the over for you on tonight's projection. These previous 4 games, though, are worrisome. 39, 36, 21, and 35. We've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. This guy is a fantasy points per minute monster. His averages are off the charts, 1.48 fantasy points per minute. So he can put up the fantasy points. There's no question there. We just need him to be out on the floor. He needs to play in order to get us points. The matchup's good. Post bigs against Memphis, they only rank 24th. One of the worst teams in the league against these types of big men. So tricky. Andre Drummond. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on Andre Drummond and hope it works out. Next guy we're going to talk about is Seti Osman. Seti, you're projected for 25.5 points. This was a Discord member's wish that we talk about Seti Osman. Don't know why, but we're going to do it for you, my friend. We're going to do it for you. Seti Osman, he's listed at power forward over on FanDuel. Projected for 27.85, so we'll call that 28 over on Roto Grinders. If we check out Fantasy Pros, Seti Osman's way down the line here, 20.7, so they like the under on Seti quite a bit. And then finally, The Wire, They like Seti Osman at 29. So his projections are all over the place, guys. And that's usually a big red flag for me. I usually don't like to go with guys that I don't have like clear, consistent, correlated projections on. But you guys asked for it. So we're going to get into the game logs for Seti. Last game was 13 points. Previous few games, though, 33.5, 27.5, and 42.9. So those would all be good for the over on tonight's projection. But then you look at the 3 previous games here, 18.8, 9.9, 10.7. So we know that his minutes are up because there's no Darius Garland. Colin Sexton's another guy who's questionable tonight. I think if Sexton misses, then Seti Osman becomes a lot more interesting for an over. I think if Colin Sexton is in there, though, I get a little unsure if we should go over on Seti Osman. But looking at the matchup real quick, he's a 3-and-D wing. And 3-and-D wings against Memphis have done pretty well this season. They only rank 21st against those types of players. And we've already talked about that this game should stay close. So if Seti can get the minutes, then maybe Seti over is the way to go. But that's a tricky spot, guys. I would probably personally not even look at him and I would fade. But that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys know something I don't. And if you like Seti Osman, fire away on Seti. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak, 51. I mean, that seems super low, right? This guy's one of the best players in the league. We know that. We don't even have to talk about it. Former MVP. Let's see where he's at across the industry. They love the over on Giannis tonight at 55.72. Let's call it 56 for Giannis. Over on Fantasy Pros, 58. So we've got a 56 and a 58. And then finally, we've got a 46, which would be a bit different than the first 2 sites and would be a huge under versus what PrizePicks thinks. Clicking on his name to look at the game logs a bit closer here, 51.6 in his last game against Utah. Previous game, 38. But then you've got 59, 65, 64. That's the Giannis we all know and love. That's the guy that we have come to expect night in and night out. So we need him to play more consistent minutes. The minutes have been a big factor here, 32, 28, 36, 27. So there's this pattern of like, 30, 20, 30, 20, 30, 20, 30, 20, 30. We want him to be like 30 every night so that we know what we need to do here with Giannis. Take the over, take the under. So there's been some inconsistency. They are expected to score quite a few points. He's a versatile forward. Versatile forwards have struggled against the Magic this season, according to these rankings. As a Magic fan, I'm not really worried. I don't think there's too many people on the team that's going to stop Giannis. I expect Aaron Gordon probably to be matched up on him. I like that matchup for us. That's who I would put on Giannis. But dude's a huge monster when he's out on the floor, getting minutes. 1.61 fantasy points per minute. You can't ask for much more than that. In fact, that might be one of the highest marks in the league as far as fantasy points per minute metrics go. This game is expected to be a blowout, so there is some cause for concern. Milwaukee's currently a 9.5 point favorite against Orlando, so that scares me. That makes me want to take the under on Giannis at 51, because we've seen, right, in his game logs when he's played less than 30 minutes, he struggled to get there. 28 minutes led to 38 fantasy points. 27 minutes led to, well, big game here, 65. 24 minutes, 32 fantasy points. 26 minutes, 34 fantasy points. I think this is a good spot to take the under on the 51. As low as this projection seems, I think it's a good spot to possibly take the under if this game blows out like we expect it to. We've talked plenty about Vooch. You guys know how I feel about him. I'm going to go a little different here, and we're going to go with Aaron Gordon. We've only talked about him maybe once, maybe twice in the past. He's projected for 31. That's a bit rich for Aaron Gordon. I liked him when he was back down around like 28 and a half. So 31 might be a bit tough for AG to get to, but let's see his projections across the league. Projected to play 31 minutes and score 32 fantasy points, according to Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they like him for 30 points. And then finally, The Wire, they've got Aaron Gordon projected for 31. So 30, 31 seems to be right. Seems to be right there in the sweet spot for Aaron Gordon. His last few games, 32.3, missed the one against Houston, 30.1 against Cleveland, 39.7 against Cleveland, 32.1. So you can see, guys, that, you know, if he was down under like 28, this is a no-brainer. This is like an over for me all day long. But he's not. He's in a tough spot. They've done a good job at projecting him tonight at 31, which makes me a little more hesitant to click the over on AG. His matchup, we've already talked about it being a blowout in this game. He's a versatile forward. Milwaukee does pretty good against versatile forwards, ranking 8th against that type of player. He's probably a fade for me, guys. He's probably a fade for me. But if you're twisting my arm, gun to my head, and you want me to pick an over or under on Aaron Gordon, give me the under. The under. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Phoenix Suns versus the Washington Wizards. That game also tips off at 7:10 p.m. We've talked enough about Devin Booker. Let's talk about DeAndre Ayton, the big man. 35 is his projection. As you can remember, if you go back to the beginning of the season playing PrizePicks NBA, Ayton used to be projected up there around 40 every night, and we were clicking the under like crazy, at least I was, and doing really well with Ayton there. But let's see where they like him across the industry. They got a big over on him, 37.84. Let's call it 38 for Ayton there. That put him 3 points over tonight's projection. 40, call it 41 on Fantasy Pros. That's a huge over for Ayton tonight. And finally, 41. So we got 3 sites here who love the over on DeAndre Ayton's projection on PrizePicks. Maybe we're on to something. Let's look at his game logs. Last game, 29.3. Previous game, 33, 29, 38, 38. So he can get there, right? I mean, it's not consistent by any means. Tonight's projection is a tough one. I mean, that 35, they're doing such a great job. We got to give it to them. You know what? Tip of my hat. You lines makers over at PrizePicks, you're doing a hell of a job lately. You're making this tough on us players. But in this matchup here, let's see how Ayton possibly can fare. It's a huge total for the Phoenix Suns, 118.25, as you can see, compared to some of the other teams on the board. I mean, the Suns are expected to score the most points. The matchup for a post big, not a great one against Washington. Washington currently ranks 3rd against post big men. If we look at the game totals here, Phoenix 118.25, Washington 111.75. As we mentioned, Washington will probably be shorthanded. No Russell Westbrook. If Russ was playing, this game would be a lot tighter spread than it is, but he's not. So there is blowout potential unless Bradley Beal can do big time Bradley Beal things, and we know he can. So blowout potential in this game here. So be on the lookout for that. Someone else wanted me to talk Ish Smith. Another guy that I don't think we've mentioned once this year on PrizePicks NBA videos. Ish is projected for 23 points. Ish is getting up there in years, but in years past, the little guy is a freak athlete. He's super fast. He's got springs, so he's fun to watch play basketball. Former Orlando Magic player too. Ish is projected all the way down here at just 19 points on Roto Grinders. Quite a bit lower than PrizePicks. And if we go down to, Fantasy Pros has him all the way down at 16.8. Sorry, you guys at home. We have to scroll all the way down to get to Ish Smith. And then finally on the wire, they've got him at 19. So nobody likes this guy to go over 20 points tonight. Nobody has him over 20. And his projection on PrizePicks is 23. So, I mean, I think I like the under on Ish Smith. Swig of water for the working man. Looking at his recent game logs, 22.1, 21.1. Here's a 27.5, 15.8, 23.7. Somebody's going to have to step up, right? Without Russell Westbrook in the lineup, if it's Ish Smith and he gets around 28, 25 plus minutes, I mean, that projection tonight is within reach. Let's take a look at some other metrics on Ish Smith. all the way down, all the way down. He's a distributor type of point guard, which Phoenix ranks 8th against. He'll be facing off against Chris Paul tonight. He does have a pretty respectable fantasy point per minute at 0.91. Question is, how many minutes can Ish Smith get us? They've got him projected at 21 minutes tonight, but as I mentioned, if he's up at 25 or 28 minute mark, then there's a good chance that he goes over his projection tonight. I just don't know that he's going to actually get that much run. So that's a difficult one, but hopefully I've given you enough info for you to decide what you want to do. Joel Embiid, we talked about him at the top of the show. There's going to be a lot of guys out for Philadelphia, which means it's Joel Embiid versus the Atlanta Hawks. It's pretty much Joel's world, and we're just living in it. He's projected for 50 points on tonight's PrizePicks board. Huge over on Roto Grinders, 57.72. If we round that up to 58, that's an 8-point over versus PrizePicks projections. They love the over on Embiid. Projected for 52.6. Things are shaping up quite nicely for a Joel Embiid overplay tonight. 55.3 over on RotoWire. So guys, if Embiid plays like he's projected to, this could be a smash the over spot for Joel. His last few games, 36.9, 68.1, holy smokes, 47, 42, 40. So some lower games here, but that was when they had, a full complement of players, a full roster of healthy guys. That won't be the case tonight. Joel Embiid should get as many minutes as he possibly can, should get as many shots as possible. I really am liking the over on Joel Embiid. Let's look at the spread real quick, because this might be a blowout if Embiid can't do this by himself. Atlanta 114, Philly 107. So you're looking at around a 6-7 point spread here. And then versatile bigs against Atlanta have struggled this season. They rank number 1 against versatile bigs, but this isn't just some ordinary versatile big, right? This is one of the best premier big men in the league. Guys, I like it. 1.52 fantasy points per minute. I'm processing in my head, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do it and say it. Joel Embiid at 50 points. At 50 points, that's going to go up. I'm liking the over. I'm liking the over on Embiid, and I think you should too. That's where I'm going for my lock of the night. Joel Embiid over. Trae Young, other side of the ball, 44 points. Ice Trae, you have been frustrating to try and figure out this season. They like him at 44 over on RG. Over on FP, they've got him at 44 as well. And then finally, The Wire, they've got him at 40.85. So round that up to 41. That's still 3 points under his projection on some of the other sites. Let's look at the game logs real quick. Trae Young, 28.4. That's a down game. 13.5. That's a really, really down game. 49.4. He kind of came back to life in that one. 32, 40. So guys, he's struggling. He's getting minutes. That's not a problem. He's getting shots. 19. This one was weird. 9 points on that one. 22, 16, 21. The dude's putting up shots. That's what he's on the team for. But look at the field goal percentage on some of these games. 26%, 22%, 41%, 38%. Like, the shots just aren't falling for him. He's attempting a ton of threes, and you like that. You like to see shooters shoot. You like to see scorers score, but he's coming up short more often than not lately. Teams expected to score 114.25 points. He's considered to be a combo guard. Philadelphia this season has done well against combo guards, but that's when they're completely healthy, right? And tonight we know they won't be. They're going to be missing Seth Curry, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, maybe more. So that's the 411 on Trae Young. You guys got to decide if you trust this guy or not. If you think they smash the 76ers, and if you think that the players being out on the Philadelphia side of things makes enough of a difference, then Trae Young can definitely go over 44. We know he can. He's getting all the shots and everything he needs to hit that mark. So Zion Williamson, we've talked about him extensively on this channel. He's facing the Dallas Mavericks tonight. The game tips off at 8:40 p.m. Zion was another guy who, coming into this season, they just had him up around 45 points every night, and we just kept hitting under. We kept hitting under, and I think PrizePicks is like, screw that. We're not letting you guys pick the under on Zion anymore. We're going to get his projection brought down to 37 tonight. So Zion for 37 points tonight. Let's see how he ranks on these other sites here. 38, they like a slight over for Z. Over on Fantasy Pros, they like Zion for 39. So that's another over for Zion. And finally, RotoWire likes Zion Williamson at 36. So 36 to 39 seems to be the consensus. If we look at his game logs, 37, 44, 42. The minutes are up finally, because you can see he went through the stretch 28, 17, 32 even. But the minutes are starting to get back up to like the lower 30, mid 30 range. So he's out on the floor. That's a good thing. He does have the 40 plus point potential. The dude's a freak, right? He's a freak athlete. We know what he can do. It's just a matter of doing it. His last game was against Charlotte, who he doesn't face Charlotte tonight. But his last game against Charlotte, he put up 37.1. This is his first time meeting the Dallas Mavericks, actually. So let's see how he ranks. Versatile forwards against the Mavs have been a difficult matchup. Mavs are a difficult matchup for versatile forwards. You would like to see a little bit higher fantasy points per minute out of Zion. 1.14, not off the charts for somebody who is highly touted like Zion. So I don't know, man. 37's a tough one, though. You could see across the industry, they're torn. PrizePicks might be on the money on this one. This might be a trap. I'll let you guys figure that one out. Luka Doncic, he's the next man up. 52. Luka's been warming up lately. He's been doing a lot better. He was our lock the other night. Came up just a little bit short, as has been the case with some of our locks recently. We're struggling on the locks, but I think Joel Embiid's going to get there for us. But let's talk about Luka. Let's go over to Roto Grinders and look at the projections here. Swig of water for the working man. Luka's projected at 53. Fantasy Pros likes Luka at 54. So that's a 53 and a 54. That's two overs. And then finally, a slight over at 52.2 for Luka on RotoWire. Looking at the game logs for Luka, 51.2. That was the one that he didn't come through for us, I think, when I had him as a lock. His previous two games, 78.3, 60.7. Here's a 53.5. So, the days of him scoring in the upper 40s or less seem to be behind him. He's put up 53, 60, 78, and 51. So, like 51 plus seems to be the new norm for Luka. This is his first time facing New Orleans. No previous game logs to lean on there. But in this matchup for combo guards, New Orleans hasn't done a very good job at guarding combo guards. We know Luka, he's a stat sheet stuffer. I almost said a bad word. But yeah, he's a stat sheet stuffer, ranking New Orleans ranking 23 against combo guards. So love the matchup for Luka. The spread is a good one. This game should stay close. Only a 3.5 point spread here, guys. So no worries on a blowout from me for Luka Doncic. So keep an eye on the Kristaps Porzingis news. If Kristaps plays, then maybe that cuts into Luka's usage and production overall tonight. But I love Luka. And I love the over on Luka tonight. I think 52 is just a little too underweight. Moving right along, let's talk Brandon Ingram. We've hit him a couple times this season. Let's hit him again. 41 is his projection tonight. If we look at how he's projected across the industry, 41.89. They got a slight over. We'll call it 42. 36, that's quite a big under on Brandon Ingram. So we're starting to see a little bit of an up down on Ingram. And then they've got him for 42, which would be an over on RotoWire. So the industry's torn on Brandon Ingram. He's projected for 41 on PrizePicks. His game logs 40.6, 41.2, 55.8, 44.2. So in his last few games, guys, he's shown 40 to 50 point window here. He's just a hard guy to really nail down. And I think the 41, once again, this is another case of like PrizePicks. You're just nailing it. So good job to you and your lines makers. They're catching on quick. They're taking away whatever edge we had. He's a scoring wing, and Dallas has fared very well against scoring wings, ranking 10th in the league against scoring wings. And we talked about it already. This game is projected to stay close. Ingram, 1.24 fantasy points per minute. So he's going to be right around there, guys. This is one of those ones where, like the 41, just like with Zion, it's on point. It's on point. You have to decide if it's over or under, though. But the 41 is on point. It's probably a situation where I'm looking elsewhere to find an edge, because I don't think I got one there with Brandon Ingram. No Fred VanVleet on the board. We took Fred VanVleet last night for Toronto, and what can I say? Another lock that came unlocked for us. So let's talk Dame Lillard. We haven't talked Dame in a few days, it seems like. 46 is his projection tonight. Going over to point guard, Dame Lillard's projected for 45. Over on Fantasy Pros, he's projected at 43. So 2 unders for Dame. And the last one, The Wire, they like the under on Dame as well. They have him at 45, we'll call it. His recent game logs here, 33 points, big down game for him. But a big up game in the previous one, 65.9, 43.5, 37, 52. So he's been one of those guys where it's like up and down. We know what he can do. We've seen Dame ball out. He just hasn't balled out consistently for us this season. So he's been a tough one to figure out. First game against Toronto, no previous game logs to look at. We do know Kyle Lowry, though, is known as a little bulldog. He's a feisty defender. If him and Dame Lillard match up against each other, he could give Dame Lillard some problems. I like Kyle Lowry as a defender. What Lillard has working for him, though, 117.5 points is the projected score for Portland tonight. So that's a ton of points, only bested by the Phoenix Suns at 118.25. So 117.5 team points projected for Dame and the Trailblazers tonight. He's a combo guard, and here you go. Toronto ranks number 1 against combo guards. That little backcourt of Fred VanVleet and of Kyle Lowry, I mean, they're tough little point guards, man. They're tough little dudes, and I think they could get up in Damian Lillard's face tonight and give him a hard time. So Damian Lillard at 46. We've clicked the under, at least I have, for a large part of the season, and it's worked out. I think I'm going under again on Dame. This guy, however, 36 points, PrizePicks. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you how to run your site, how to make your projections. I'm not telling your lines makers that they're bad at their jobs. But how do you keep putting CJ McCollum at 36? Is this your gift to us? Do you really like us that much that you're going to keep feeding us CJ McCollum at 36 points? I'll take it. I mean, if you guys want to keep losing money, I'll take it. He's projected at 43 points on Roto-Grinders, guys. 43 points at Roto-Grinders. Let's go over to the next site. 39.8 on Fantasy Pros. And finally, 45. Look, I know. I already told you guys that Joel Embiid was my lock of the night, right? Can I get 2, though? Can I get 2 locks? Because it looks like CJ McCollum might be my second lock. Maybe that's what I need to start doing. Doing 2 locks, because if my first lock fails, then I've doubled my chances at getting one of my locks right. Maybe that's my cheat code. It's hard not to like CJ McCollum over 36. So 50 in his last game, 31. That was a down one. That was the one where he burned us. 42, 51, 44, 36, 3, 50, 62. Guys, he's only went under 36 points 2 times. 2 times this season he's been under 36. PrizePicks, mwah, thank you. We will all click the over on CJ McCollum at 36. I'm going to click the over on CJ McCollum at 37. I'm going to click the over on CJ McCollum at 38 because you can see what the guy can do. And 36 is just way underweight. CJ McCollum, I'm not even going to go into the other stuff. CJ McCollum over. Move on with your lives and click CJ McCollum over. Domantas Sabonis, 46 points is his projection tonight. They take on the Sacramento Kings at 10:10 p.m., the late game. Let's see what the big man's doing in the association lately. 45 over on Roto Grinders. Domantas Sabonis, 45 over on Fantasy Pros and on Roto Wire. Sabonis is at 49. So most of these sites have him in that 45 plus range. Let's crack open the game logs. 57, huge 50 plus burger for Mr. Sabonis in his last game. Previous 3 though, bit of a down streak here. 40, 43, 36. Bump back up 47 to 46. So most nights, guys, I think 45 plus is going to be Domantas Sabonis's floor. So they've done a good job once again pricing him or projecting him at 46. This matchup, they're projected to score 116 points are the Pacers. He's a post big. The Sacramento Kings have done a pretty good job against post bigs and defending them. They rank 4th against post big players. Looking at the game totals here, Indiana is a 116 to 110 and a half. They're a 5.5 point favorite in this matchup. So the game's projected to stay close. I don't think it blows out. I don't think you guys have anything to worry about as far as Sabonis getting pulled early or being on some sort of minutes limit or restriction or something like that due to a blowout. So I like Sabonis. 1.22 fantasy points per minute. That's a strong number. Anytime a player scores 1 fantasy point per minute or more, you're in good shape. So Sabonis is a good play tonight. Deiron Fox, 33. That seems a bit light. We saw Fox projected up at like 38, 36, I think, recently. So 33 seems a little bit underweight for Deiron Fox. We do know that he was dealing with a hamstring injury, and then he came out looking like he was healed by God or something. I don't know. He came out and was just like slaying the other night. For a guy with a hamstring injury, he didn't seem to be bothered. So his projection tonight is 35 on Roto Grinders. Over on Fantasy Pros, they've got Deiron Fox at 40.9. Huge over. 41 points, we'll call it. And then finally over on The Wire, they've got Deiron Fox. Ooh, he's down here. 27. Come on, y'all. We ain't buying that. 27? That ain't right. That ain't right. I ain't believing that. 27's too low. Forget that. There's no way. I mean, he's had some bad games, guys. 12. Here's a 33. Here's a 4.5. But you get rid of those 3 and look at what he's done here. 42, 37, 50, 48. I mean, 33 tonight just seems too low for someone of Deiron Fox's caliber of player. It seems too low for somebody who is asked to do as much as he's asked to do for Sacramento. They're only expected to score 110 points as a team. He's a combo guard, and Indiana has done pretty well against combo guards, ranking 10th in the league. And he's averaging 1.11, which is over the gold standard of 1 fantasy point per minute or more. So I like the over on Deiron Fox. I don't think 33 is quite enough, but you're going to have to let me know what you guys think on some of these players. Get down in the comment section. Let me know, is Deiron Fox over or under? Is Joel Embiid as a lock over or under? Is he good? Is CJ McCollum going to hit the over again like we think he will? I'd love to hear your comments. Leave them down below. Remember, today's goal, 10 likes. There's like hundreds of you people watching this video on a day-to-day basis. I'm only asking for like 10% of you guys to hit the thumbs up button so that we can get this video into the YouTube algorithms, to the top of the charts. We want to keep this channel growing. You guys are doing it with me. We're doing it together. I love it. We're winning. We're growing. We're getting better on PrizePicks. And I think tonight we're going to win some money. So share this video with the entire world. And as usual, let's go get some money. Peace.